Good day, everyone. My name is Gerardo Fernandez. I'm a security engineer working in various total as a malware analyst, a researcher. I'm presenting this top deception scale, how malware abuses trust. This is a research that we conducted last year where we analyze how malware authors use different camouflage techniques to deceive users. I'm going to provide you some results and also some mechanism to detect this kind of behavior and to use it to protect your systems. Over the past 16 years, Aristotle has received more than 2 million files per day from 232 different countries. And this list of files provide us with the intelligence we need to analyze how malware authors change their techniques to deceive users, used to deceive users. In this slide, you can share two keyword codes. One of them allows you to download the report we published last year, and the other one contains a blog post explaining the main results we got from this research and how you can use this information to protect your systems. Let's start by looking at the top 10 domains used for downloading malware samples. We found around 2.5 million suspicious files downloaded from domains in Alexa top 1K rank. This is a common technique by which attackers use legitimate domains for malware distributions. It provides different advantages. First, the malware author don't need to create a known infrastructure. It can use existing nodes, existing hosts, and probably most of them are going to be allowed in the firewall because they belong to legitimate domains. These are also allow the attacker to don't use a known infrastructure that can be taken down or that can be attributed to a particular actor. So in some way, it's allowed actors to stay stealth. Okay, and most of these domains are well resourced, highly available hosts for the malware, and to some extent, looking less suspicious for the final victim. We explored various total database and found that since 2021, more than 1 million signal files were suspicious. Suspicious means that we can find that 50% of the antivirus engines say that this file is suspicious, is malicious. So from these 1 million files, we checked that almost 13% of them use invalid certificate. That means that around 950,000 samples were signed with a valid certificate at submission time. In the chart, you can see the timeline of signed and verified at time of submission malicious Windows samples first in the various total. The listing at the right shows the top 10 certification authorities used to sign malicious samples. This peak appeared during January 22. As you can see, 80% of these files belong to WinZip installers flagged as open installed PUA, potential unwanted applications. Most of these files were signed by Open Install Incorporated certificate. Since March 22, some certificates belonging to NVIDIA were stolen and used to sign malware samples. In this way, malware authors create a malware application that mimic legit NVIDIA applications, and in some way they can evade antivirus engines. This timeline shows the evolution of malware signed with the stolen NVIDIA certificates we mentioned before. In this particular case, it looks like there were two clear waves. One with fed adopters until this information was widespread, and a second when it became very popular and malware authors keep reusing them even when they were revoked. One of the simple social engineering tweaks is to use icons that belong to legitimate applications. In this way, malware authors can create a malware sample or malware application that pretends itself to be a legit application. To demonstrate this, we took a set of frequently downloaded Windows software using fuzzy logic to find suspicious samples. Suspicion means that we need 5 or more positives from the various engines to detect it as malicious. So we're looking for samples that are using these icons, these legit icons from legit applications. This timeline illustrates the number of samples when we observe them for the first time. So you are seeing here first time samples using legit icons, and all of these samples are malware samples. To create this chart, we selected a set of 25 most popular applications used by malware authors to take the icon. In this listing, you can see the top 10 applications whose icons were found to be abused by malware authors, according to our data. We conducted a similar analysis of URLs using favicon similarity. That means we are looking for URLs containing the same favicon that legit URLs, when we know those are malicious. We found the following to be the most abused websites by a number of different URLs suspected of being malicious. The infection ratio metric is the percentage of URLs suspected of being malicious versus all the URLs using the specific favicon. So in this chart, we can see that eCloud, WhatsApp, and Skype are the top three applications, top three URLs using legit favicons to mimic a legit application, legit URL. If we focus on the total number of URLs and not the infection ratio, as I said before, we find that WhatsApp, Instagram, and Facebook are the top three URLs that malicious URLs that are using legit favicons. So those are the three most abused favicons in our dataset. One of the most effective social engineering techniques is to camouflage malware as part of legitimate installers. This supply chain attack only can be performed when the attacker has access to the distribution server, to the source code, or the certificates. To find potential cases, we search in various totals for samples downloaded from a subset of 35 legitimate domain hosting popular software packages. So since 2020, we found around 80 suspicious files, meaning with more than 5% of antivirus detecting them as malicious, out of 80,000 server files. This is around 0.1% of them. We also explore relationships. And this is a very powerful tool because we can relate legitimate installers with malicious executable patterns or malicious compressed files and also malicious Windows executable that including the legitimate installer as part of the resource section. So what we got? We got that all legitimate installers were executed by malware, and they were Google Chrome, Malwarebytes, Windows Update, Zoom, Brave, Firefox, Proton VPN, and Telegram, amongst others. So around 2,000 samples distributed through 268 different hosts. We also checked which were the top domains distributing these samples. And you can see here in this listing, we can find that some of them are legitimate. For example, we have here a listing of executable patterns of a legit in Telegram installer. We have the time where they were scanned, detections, the type of file, and also the name. If we check these files, we can see that many of them are malicious. They have a lot of positives by antivirus engine, and also some of them are using the same name that the Telegram installation process. So they are trying to mimic a legit Telegram application. In this graph, we can see the trend that this type of malware has had since 2020. We can observe a growing trend in the use of these types of camouflage mechanism. Another technique used by malware authors is to hide a legit installer inside a compressed files, together with a malware sample, together with a malicious file. So in this case, the malware author is trying to provide a zip file, a compressed file containing a legitimate installer and also a malware sample. In total, we found more than 2,000 samples abusing this technique being distributed through 180 different domains. A more sophisticated technique widely used by attackers consists of including a legitimate installer as a resource, peer resource, into the malicious sample. We found 452 malicious samples embedding Zoom, Spotify, WinZip, 7zip, and NordVPN, among others. The following sample shows how a compressed file distributed in the wild includes both legitimate Proton VPN installer and what appears to be a malware that installed the Jigsaw ransomware. So this is the original installer and a cracked version or another application that's pretend to be a cracker than installing a ransomware in your computer. Okay, so what can we do now to detect these threats? I'm going to show you now some techniques that you can use using various total to detect this type of attacks. As you can see here, we are building a query looking for files downloaded from the Google domain, compressed files, first submitted 2020, and that had 5 positives or more. I mean, it's been detected by 5 or more antivirus engines. So we got around 370 files downloaded from Google that are malicious. This is another example of how you can use VirusTotal to detect malicious patterns of a legend Telegram installer. First, you can create a list of files using the following query. Entity file in the while updates.tdesktop, and you can see the URL. And what's most important here, the search modifier have execution patterns. We are looking for files downloading from the TeamViewer domain that have execution patterns. When we create this listing, we can iterate over all the parents to check which one of them is malicious. This way, we can detect malicious patterns that are installing, executing a legit Telegram installer. And we can iterate using the PT API to search for malicious patterns, as you can see in the code in the slide. Let's see now how we can use VirusTotal to detect malware using similar icons. In the query that you can see here, we are looking for malware samples using a legit Telegram icon. The query is my main icon, the hash. You are having a hash number related to the Telegram icon. And also we are including P2 plus, meaning that we want to get results that has been detected by at least 2 antivirus engines. We can also use VirusTotal to detect malicious sample using valid certificates. For example, you can see here information regarding a Microsoft Code Verification Root certificate. We have the thumbprint or we have the serial number. We can choose one of them. For instance, I'm going to choose the serial number to look for malicious sample that is using this same serial number. So we can use this serial number, for instance, to look for malware support that are using these Microsoft certificates. You can see here a query containing the signature number, and also we are looking for malware sample that contains 5 positive or more. And we are also going to do some checks to be sure that the certificate is still valid. Thank you very much for joining me today. If you have any question, please write in the chat, and I will be very happy to answer. Thank you very much, and happy hunting.